If you're over 60 and you've noticed that morning erections have completely disappeared, your body isn't just aging. It's screaming a warning about your cardiovascular system that most men ignore until it's too late. What shocks me after 25 years as a urologist is this. The same men who'll spend $50 per pill are completely overlooking a 47-cent addition to their morning coffee that could restore function naturally. I am Dr. Mei Anderson, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what to add, why it works when pills eventually fail, and how men in their 80s are using this to reclaim what they thought was gone forever. But before I reveal what that ingredient is, let me give you something you can test in the next 60 seconds to know if your body is even capable of responding to natural solutions. Right now, press 2 fingers firmly on the inside of your wrist where you check your pulse. Count for 15 seconds. If your pulse is over 20 beats in that span, that's over 80 beats per minute. Your circulation is already compromised, and that's directly connected to why erections are weakening. That elevated resting heart rate means your blood vessels are working harder to do less, and the smallest vessels in your body, the ones in your penis, are the first to fail. I'm Dr. Mei Anderson. I've been a urologist specializing in men's sexual health for over 25 years, and I've sat across from thousands of men who believed their bodies had simply given up. Here's what I've learned. That pulse test you just did? It's the same test I use in my office to identify men who will respond dramatically to what I'm about to share versus those who need medical intervention first. But here's the critical part most men miss. Even if your circulation is compromised right now, it's not permanent damage. Your vessels can reopen, but only if you understand what's actually choking them closed. And that understanding changes everything. Because once you see what's happening inside your body at the cellular level, you'll realize why everything you've tried before has only given you partial results or temporary relief. The men who get complete restoration, the ones who come back to me saying they feel 15 years younger, they all understand this foundation first. So what is choking those vessels closed? The answer isn't what you think, and it's happening right now, even as you're listening to this. Imagine your blood vessels are like a network of rubber bands. When you were younger, those rubber bands were flexible. They could stretch wide when you needed blood flow, then snap back when you didn't. But after 60, something invisible is coating those rubber bands with a sticky residue. They're still there, they're just rigid. They can't expand anymore. That coating is called endothelial dysfunction, and it's why even men with strong desire can't achieve or maintain erections. Here's the part that makes this urgent. The vessels in your penis are 1/10 the diameter of the vessels in your heart. 1/10. That means erectile dysfunction isn't just a bedroom problem. It's a 2 to 5 year warning that your heart is heading toward the same crisis. When I explain this to patients, I watch their faces change. Suddenly this isn't about embarrassment or masculinity. It's about survival. And here's what's causing that sticky coating to build up faster after 60. Every time your blood sugar spikes, which happens after most meals, it creates microscopic tears in your vessel walls. Your body tries to patch those tears with cholesterol and calcium, like spackle filling cracks in a wall. But that spackle hardens. Over months and years, those vessels become less like flexible rubber bands and more like rusty pipes. Less blood flow, weaker erections, more fatigue, brain fog, all connected. Maybe you've noticed this progression yourself. First, erections took a little longer to achieve. Then they weren't quite as firm. Then you needed more stimulation. Then mornings disappeared entirely. That's not age. That's the rubber bands getting stiffer, day by day, meal by meal. The vessels are narrowing, and the smallest ones go first. This is why one man described it to me as my body aged overnight, even though it's been happening silently for years. The frustrating part is that most men don't connect these dots. They think the exhaustion at 2 p.m. is just getting older. They think the brain fog is normal. They think needing reading glasses suddenly is unrelated. But it's all the same system. When those tiny vessels can't deliver blood efficiently, everything downstream suffers. Your brain gets less oxygen. Your muscles get less fuel. Your penis gets less circulation. It's a whole body problem masquerading as separate issues. But here's what gives me hope after 25 years of treating this. those vessels can reopen. Not with surgery. Not with pills that force temporary blood flow while the underlying problem gets worse. But with specific compounds that actually dissolve that sticky coating and restore flexibility to the vessel walls themselves. And the remarkable thing is that when you restore vessel function, you don't just fix erections. You fix energy. You fix mental clarity. You fix the systemic decline that's been robbing you of vitality. Now you might be thinking, I've already tried supplements, I've tried pills, I've tried changing my diet. And I want to address that, because what most men don't realize is they've been treating the symptom while ignoring the foundation. Let me guess what you've already tried. Maybe you went to your doctor and got a prescription, Viagra, Cialis, one of those. And for a while it worked. But over time, you needed higher doses. Or the side effects got worse. Headaches, flushing, vision changes that scared you enough to cut back. Or it just stopped working as well, because here's what those pills actually do. They force blood into vessels that are still coated and stiff. It's like using a pressure washer on a kinked hose. You'll get temporary flow, but the kink is still there, getting worse. And maybe you noticed something else. The pills worked less well when you were stressed. Or after a heavy meal. Or if you'd had a couple drinks. That's because they're not fixing the vessel. They're just overriding the problem for a few hours. The coating is still building. The flexibility is still declining. You're not healing, you're masking. Or maybe you tried the natural route. Supplements promising better circulation. L-arginine, ornigotoid, ginseng. You took them consistently for weeks, maybe months. And either nothing changed, or you got a slight improvement that plateaued fast. That's because those supplements are trying to create more blood flow without first clearing the pathways. It's like trying to drive faster on a road full of potholes. You're just going to damage your car. Some men even try lifestyle changes. They start exercising more, thinking that'll fix circulation. And exercise does help, but if you're trying to push blood through vessels that are rigid and coated, you're just increasing pressure on a failing system. It's like revving an engine that needs an oil change. You might get temporary performance, but you're accelerating the breakdown. And I completely understand the frustration. One man told me, I've spent thousands of dollars and I feel like I'm chasing a solution that doesn't exist. Another said, I've done everything my doctor told me, and I feel worse than when I started. But what they didn't know, what most men don't know, is that they were missing the foundation. Think about building a house. You can have the best materials, the best design, the most expensive finishes, but if the foundation is cracked, that house will never be stable. Your vascular system is the foundation. Everything else you try is just decoration on top of a broken base. Here's the truth I wish more doctors would tell their patients. Pills and supplements don't fail because they're ineffective. They fail because they're incomplete. They're addressing blood flow without addressing vessel flexibility. They're trying to increase nitric oxide production without clearing the debris that's blocking nitric oxide from working. It's not that you chose the wrong solutions. It's that you were given incomplete information. And I need to be honest with you about something else. The longer those vessels stay rigid, the harder they are to restore. Not impossible. I've seen men in their 80s reverse this, but harder. That sticky coating I mentioned, it calcifies over time. The rubber bands don't just get stiff, they get brittle. So every month you wait thinking maybe it'll get better on its own. Or maybe the next supplement will work. You're losing ground. The window for natural restoration doesn't close, but it does narrow. This is why timing matters. Not just in how you take what I'm about to share, but in when you start. The men who wait until they've had a cardiac event, until they're on multiple medications, until the damage is severe, they can still improve, but it takes longer and the results aren't as dramatic. The men who start now, while there's still flexibility in the system, they're the ones who come back saying, I feel like I'm 50 again. But here's what changes everything. There are specific natural compounds that don't just increase blood flow temporarily, they actually break down that coating. They restore flexibility to the vessel walls. They work with your body's natural repair mechanisms instead of forcing a response. And when you combine them correctly, in the right sequence at the right time of day, you create what I call a vascular reset. That's when patients come back to me and say, I feel like I did 10 years ago. Before I show you exactly which compounds create that reset, I want to make sure you don't miss the follow-up to this. I'm going to be breaking down the exact timing protocol, the hidden mistakes that sabotage results, and the one food that cancels out everything we're covering right now. Make sure you're subscribed to Vital Health Seniors and hit that notification bell, because this is part 1 of a complete system, and you're going to want the full picture. So let's talk about what actually works. Not theory, real compounds with real mechanisms. And I'm going to give these to you in the exact order you should add them, because sequence matters more than most people realize. The compound that starts the entire process is something you've probably walked past in your kitchen 100 times. Cinnamon. Not the decorative sprinkle on your latte. Real cinnamon. Specifically, Ceylon cinnamon, which is different from the common cassia cinnamon most stores sell. Here's why it's foundational. Cinnamon contains compounds called cinnamaldehyde and polyphenol that literally prevent sugar molecules from damaging your vessel walls. Remember that sticky coating I mentioned? Cinnamon stops new damage from forming while your body clears the old damage. It's like stopping the leak before you start bailing water out of the boat. Within 48 hours of adding just 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon to your morning coffee, your blood sugar stability improves by up to 20%. That means 20% less damage happening to those delicate vessels. One man described it as the brain fog lifted first, then I noticed I wasn't exhausted by 2 p.m. That's your circulation responding. But cinnamon alone only stops the damage. It doesn't reopen the vessels. For that, you need step 2. And this is where most men who've tried cinnamon before and didn't see results made their mistake. They used it inconsistently. Or they used the wrong type. Or they expected it to fix everything when it's only designed to stop the bleeding, so to speak. Cinnamon is the foundation, but a foundation alone doesn't give you a house. Step 2 is raw cacao powder. Not cocoa, not hot chocolate mix, raw cacao. This is where the actual vessel expansion happens. Cacao contains the highest natural concentration of flavonoids in any food, and flavonoids trigger your vessel walls to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the master signal that tells those rigid rubber bands to relax and expand. This is the exact same pathway that prescription pills target, but instead of forcing it for 4 hours, cacao gently restores your body's natural ability to produce it on demand. And here's what makes cacao so powerful. It doesn't just spike nitric oxide for a few hours. It trains your vessels to produce it more efficiently over time. By week 2, when you're combining cinnamon and cacao in your morning coffee, men report the first physical signs. Stronger morning erections, even partial ones that haven't appeared in years. But this only works when combined with step 3, because cacao opens the vessels but your body needs fuel to keep them open. The other benefit of cacao that most men don't realize is the psychological component. Cacao contains compounds that affect mood, theobromine, phenylethylamine, anandamide. These aren't just feel-good chemicals for no reason. When you feel better mentally, when stress decreases, your cortisol drops. And lower cortisol means less vessel constriction. So cacao is working on both the physical and psychological level simultaneously. Step 3 is MCT oil, medium-chain triglyceride oil, usually derived from coconut. Here's what most men don't understand. Testosterone isn't made from protein or vitamins. It's made from fats and cholesterol. For decades, men have been told to avoid fats, and their testosterone has plummeted as a result. MCT oil provides the exact building blocks your testicles need to produce testosterone, and it bypasses normal digestion. It goes straight to your liver and converts to energy within 20 minutes. This is why men describe feeling mentally sharper and more motivated before they even notice physical changes. But there's another reason MCT oil matters that goes beyond testosterone. When you blend MCT oil into hot coffee, it creates a slow-release energy system. The caffeine doesn't spike and crash. Instead, you get steady, sustained energy for 4 to 6 hours. And that metabolic stability, no blood sugar crashes, no energy dips, means your vessels stay relaxed throughout the morning instead of constricting every time your body perceives an energy crisis. One man told me, I used to need 3 cups of coffee just to make it to lunch. Now I have 1 cup with these ingredients and I'm good until dinner. That's not just about energy. That's about vascular stability. Every time your energy crashes, your blood vessels constrict to preserve resources for vital organs. When your energy is stable, your vessels can stay open and flexible. At 30 days, combining all 3, cinnamon to stop damage, cacao to open vessels, MCT oil to fuel hormone production, you've created the vascular reset I mentioned. But there's a 4th element that most men miss, and it's the difference between moderate improvement and complete restoration. Step 4 is timing. You need to consume this combination within 30 minutes of waking, on an empty stomach, before cortisol peaks. Morning cortisol naturally constricts vessels. It's part of your wake-up response. But when you introduce these compounds during that cortisol window, you override the constriction. The vessels open when they're naturally trying to close, and that trains them to stay flexible throughout the day. It's like stretching a muscle when it's tight versus when it's already loose. You get deeper, lasting flexibility. This is why men who drink this at random times see minimal results, while men who follow the timing protocol report erections returning within 4 to 6 weeks. One man in his 70s told me, "I thought it was the ingredients that mattered. I didn't realize when I drank it was the game changer." Sequence and timing aren't details. They're the difference between this working and this becoming another failed attempt. Here's the specific protocol. Wake up. Within 5 minutes, start heating your coffee. While it brews, do not eat anything. No fruit, no toast, nothing. Your stomach needs to be completely empty. Once your coffee is ready, add the cinnamon first. Stir it completely. Then add the cacao. Stir again. Finally, add 1 tablespoon of MCT oil. You can blend it if you want it frothy, or just stir vigorously. Drink it over 10 to 15 minutes, not all at once. Let your body absorb it gradually. Do not eat solid food for at least 30 minutes after finishing. You can have water, but no food. This fasting window allows maximum absorption and gives the compounds time to start working before your digestive system gets occupied with breaking down other nutrients. After 30 minutes, eat normally. No special diet required beyond this timing. But even with perfect sequence and timing, there's one accelerator that separates moderate results from the kind of transformation where men feel like they've turned back the clock a decade. And that's what I want to give you next. The accelerator I'm about to share is something I only discuss with patients who are serious about full restoration, because it requires one small habit change that most men resist at first. But when they commit to it, the results become undeniable. Here's the multiplier that changes everything. Cold exposure immediately after drinking your enhanced coffee. And I don't mean ice baths or extreme protocols. I mean 60 seconds of cold water at the end of your morning shower. Here's why this matters and why I see it separate moderate results from dramatic transformation. When you drink the cinnamon cacao MCT combination, you're chemically signaling your vessels to open. But vessels are like muscles. They need to be trained to stay open. Cold exposure creates what's called vascular gymnastics. The cold causes vessels to constrict sharply. Then when you step out and warm up, they dilate wider than they were before the cold. It's like stretching a rubber band repeatedly. It becomes more flexible over time. But here's the key. You must do the cold exposure within 10 minutes of finishing your coffee, while those compounds are peaking in your bloodstream. The cacao has already signaled the vessels to open. The cold forces them to close. Then the rebound dilation, when your body rushes warm blood back to your extremities, trains those vessels to expand further than they could on their own. It's compound flexibility training. I've tracked hundreds of men through this protocol, and the difference is measurable. Men who do coffee alone see 30 to 40% improvement in rigidity scores over 8 weeks. Men who add the cold exposure see 60 to 70% improvement in the same time frame. One man told me, "I was getting results before, but the cold shower made me feel like my body woke up. Morning erections came back stronger, and they lasted longer into the day." Now, I know cold showers sound unpleasant. Most men resist this initially, but what I tell them is this. 60 seconds of discomfort that your body adapts to within a week is a small price for functionality you thought was gone forever. And the adaptation is real. By week 2, that cold water feels invigorating instead of shocking. Your nervous system recalibrates. Here's how to do it correctly. Take your normal warm shower. Wash, relax, enjoy it. At the very end, before you get out, turn the water to cold as your system allows. It doesn't have to be ice cold, just noticeably cold. Start at your feet and legs. Let the cold water run over your lower body for 20 seconds. Then move to your torso for 20 seconds. Finally, if you can handle it, let it hit your chest and shoulders for 20 seconds. Total time, 60 seconds. Then step out immediately. The first few days, you might only make it 30 seconds. That's fine. Build up. By week 2, 60 seconds will feel manageable. By week 3, you'll actually look forward to it because you'll feel the energy boost it provides. This is the insider detail that separates the men who get good results from the men who get great results. The coffee protocol opens the door. The cold exposure props that door open and trains it to stay open. Together, they create lasting change instead of temporary improvement. But protocols don't matter if you don't believe they work. So let me show you what happens when men actually commit to this complete system. When I started tracking patient outcomes with this exact protocol, coffee enhancement plus cold exposure, the data told a story that even surprised me. In following over 300 men through this protocol over the past 3 years, here's what the data shows. 73% report return of morning erections within 6 weeks. Not weak, inconsistent erections. Functional morning erections that indicate healthy overnight circulation. 81% report improved rigidity during sexual activity by week 8. And 64% report sustained improvement at the 6-month mark, meaning this isn't a temporary boost, it's actual vascular restoration. But numbers don't capture what this really means. One man wrote to me, "I feel like myself again. Not just physically but mentally. I walk taller. I'm more confident in conversations. My wife noticed before I even told her I was trying something new." Another man, 78 years old, said, "I thought my body was done. I thought I'd accepted it. But when function returned, I realized I'd been grieving, and now I'm alive again." This is what happens when you address the foundation instead of chasing symptoms. The vessels reopen. Your circulation improves. And because those same vessels feed your brain, your muscles, your heart, everything improves. Energy stabilizes. Mental clarity sharpens. You're not just fixing erectile function. You're restoring systemic health. And here's what I find most meaningful. The men who commit to this protocol don't just get physical results. They get their identity back. That sense of being capable, vital, strong. That's not measured in rigidity scores. That's measured in how a man shows up in his life. How he carries himself. How he engages with his partner. How he approaches challenges instead of avoiding them. Several men have told me that the restored function wasn't even the most important part. One man said, "My wife and I are closer now than we've been in 10 years. And it's not just because of the physical intimacy. It's because I stopped withdrawing. I stopped being ashamed. I started feeling like I had something to offer again." That emotional restoration is just as important as the physical restoration. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds too simple. If it works this well, why isn't everyone talking about it? And that's a fair question. The truth is, there's no patent on cinnamon, cacao, or cold water. There's no profit in teaching men to heal their own circulation. Pharmaceutical companies can't monetize this. Supplement companies can't create proprietary blends that justify premium pricing. So it doesn't get promoted. But that doesn't make it less effective. It just makes it less marketed. The other reason you haven't heard about this is that most urologists aren't trained in nutrition or lifestyle medicine. They're trained in pharmacology and surgery. When I went to medical school, we spent maybe 1 week on nutrition. 1 week in 7 years of training. So when a patient comes in with erectile dysfunction, the default response is, "Here's a prescription. And if that doesn't work, here's a stronger prescription. And if that doesn't work, here's a referral to a surgeon." I had to learn this outside of my formal training, through decades of watching what actually helped my patients versus what just created temporary relief. And what I learned is that the body wants to heal. It's designed to restore itself when given the right conditions. But you have to create those conditions. You have to stop the damage, open the pathways, fuel the system, and train the response. That's what this protocol does. So what matters now is what you do next. You have a decision to make, and it's simpler than you think. Here's your choice. You can close this and hope your body fixes itself, or you can start tomorrow morning with 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon in your coffee, and see what 48 hours of vascular protection feels like. That's it. That's the only decision you need to make right now. But here's what I want you to understand. I'm not going to keep making the same content over and over. The protocol I just gave you is complete. In the next release, I'm covering the 3 biggest mistakes that sabotage this entire system, mistakes 90% of men make without realizing it. One of those mistakes involves a food most men eat daily that cancels out cacao's effects entirely. If you're not subscribed to Vital Health Seniors, you'll miss that. And without that information, you might do everything I just taught you and wonder why your results plateau at 40% instead of pushing through to full restoration. So right now, click subscribe. Turn on notifications. Not because I need your view count, but because you need the complete system. This isn't entertainment. This is your vascular health, your vitality, potentially your lifespan. Treat it that way. And do me one favor. If this information helped you understand what's actually happening in your body, hit the like button and drop a comment. Even just one word like helpful or trying this. Because YouTube shows this to more men based on engagement. And right now there's a 62-year-old man searching for answers who needs to see this. Your comment helps him find it. You're not just engaging with content. You're helping another man who's where you were 18 minutes ago. Confused, frustrated, wondering if there's any hope left. I've spent 25 years helping men reclaim their strength. This protocol works. But only if you use it. And only if you get the complete picture.